Let's just dive right into this explainer, because today we are unpacking a concept that is absolutely fascinating, maybe a little bit dark, but incredibly necessary. We're talking about how reacting to undeserving people is secretly, quietly draining away all your power. We go through our days thinking that defending our reputation or quickly correcting someone's misunderstanding is the ultimate sign of strength. But what if it's actually the exact opposite? What if the very act of engaging is exactly what makes you vulnerable?
Really think about it. Think about the last time you frantically explained yourself to someone who clearly had absolutely no intention of listening to you. Maybe it was a stubborn coworker who was literally determined to misunderstand you, or some random person online just trying to drag you down. You probably walked away from that feeling completely exhausted, right? You think you're being strong by stepping into the ring to defend yourself, but in reality, you're just handing the keys to your emotional state right over to them. You are effectively volunteering to be their emotional hostage.
So how do we stop this endless drain on our energy? Well, we're going to break down 7 dark psychology tricks refined from Machiavellian principles centuries ago. Machiavelli understood human nature on a totally different level, especially the raw mechanics of power and leverage. Now, these aren't just fluffy, abstract theories. These are strict, tactical laws designed to help you completely dominate without confrontation. We're talking about winning without even throwing a punch, so you can become entirely untouchable. Let's explore this framework and see how just choosing when, or even if you respond, changes absolutely everything.
All right, let's kick things off with Phase 1, resource management.
Everything starts with how you handle your most vital resource. Let's call this trick number 1, the attention investment. The old version of you probably threw attention at absolutely any hater, critic, or toxic person who decided they wanted to stir up some drama. But you've got to realize that every single time you do that, you are spending a massive amount of your mental bandwidth. And what's your return on that investment? Usually it's just stress, anxiety, and a whole lot of lost time. The new you has to treat attention entirely differently. You have to start viewing your focus as finite, incredibly valuable capital.
Because literally, your attention is gold. Real power players create this strict, impenetrable filter, making sure their mental energy and their time only go to people who have actually earned it. Imagine getting a really passive-aggressive email from a rival at work. The old impulse is to furiously type out a 5-paragraph essay proving them wrong. But the untouchable tactician? They just read it, register the little game being played, and give it absolutely zero energy. If you want to be untouchable, you don't just hand your gold out on the street to anyone making noise. It is reserved strictly for the worthy.
Moving right along, we arrive at Phase 2, tactical absence.
Once you're managing your attention, you have to know how to strategically deploy your absence. And this brings us to trick number 2, weaponized silence. Now, a lot of people mistakenly think silence means surrender, or that it just means you couldn't think of a good comeback. But actually, silence stops the game entirely. When someone attacks you with words, they're looking for a transaction. They desperately want you to respond because your response is their proof that they actually got under your skin. By staying completely silent, you rob them of that validation and leave them exposed, essentially just talking to a brick wall.
Machiavelli fully understood that revealing too much makes you incredibly vulnerable. By refusing to hand over ammunition through nervous, defensive explanations, you brilliantly protect your emotional state. Silence creates this psychological vacuum, and let me tell you, human beings are terrified of vacuums. They will almost always start over-explaining and backtracking just to fill the quiet, effectively exposing their own weaknesses for you. And when you finally do choose to speak, those rare words are going to carry massive, undeniable weight.
But mastering absence isn't just about biting your tongue. It's about trick number 3, strategic withdrawal. You don't have to pack up, move to the woods, and become a total hermit. You just need to be highly selective with your availability to breed a little uncertainty and command real respect. Think about it. If you are always available, always eager to jump in and please everyone, you naturally just become a backup plan. But if you withdraw strategically, maybe stepping away from a conversation right at its peak, or being super warm one day and completely busy the next, you create a powerful sense of scarcity. It instantly makes people value your presence so much more. And this leads us perfectly into trick number 4, which is one of my favorites. The mind-breaking loop. As humans, our brains are hardwired to desperately crave closure. We need a beginning, a middle, and an end. So when you deploy tactical absence, you trigger this fascinating chain reaction. Step 1. The target's brain desperately seeks a reason for your withdrawal. They need to know why you aren't reacting. Step 2. You give them absolutely nothing to work with. No clues, no anger, just nothing. And step 3, their mind completely short-circuits into absolute chaos trying to fill in the blanks. This is literally psychological warfare without you even participating. while they burn all their mental reserves trying to figure you out, you're sitting there completely unbothered.
Which brings us to phase 3, the purge.
The absolute crucial point of all this mental conditioning is knowing exactly who you need to target. This is trick number 5, erasing the unworthy. Protecting your energy is a matter of pure survival. It's not selfishness. You have to permanently, quietly erase 3 specific types of people from your life. First, the enemies. Stop wasting time trying to expose them. Just let your own relentless success be their absolute torture. Second, the critics. They produce nothing of value and rely totally on your reactions just to feel relevant. Starve them. And third, the energy parasites. You know those friends who always have a massive world-ending crisis but never actually want to hear a solution? Cut them off. You literally cannot pour from an empty cup.
Now, the secret sauce to this trick is that you cannot be dramatic about the purge. No long text messages explaining why you're stepping back. No grand public announcements on social media. You just stop showing up to their drama. Your pure indifference is the ultimate destruction. And honestly, it is surprisingly funny how much louder and more frantic people get when they finally realize you've stopped listening and that they are now just screaming into a void that simply does not care.
Let's move into our final section, phase 4, ultimate defense.
To make absolutely sure nothing can ever pull you back down into the mud, we use trick number 6, the armor of indifference. If you blow up every single time someone questions your work ethic or throws a little shade, you are acting as an emotional hostage. You become entirely predictable. And in any Machiavellian framework, being predictable means you are ridiculously easy to manipulate. You have to build this armor by identifying your personal emotional triggers and systematically, ruthlessly neutralizing them.
Building this armor doesn't mean you're suddenly this cold, unfeeling robot. Not at all. It just means you get to choose exactly what you feel and precisely when you feel it. It's about inserting a tiny wedge of time between the stimulus and your response. Taking a deep, 2-second breath before responding to an insult puts you right back in the driver's seat. When someone tries to push your old buttons, desperately hunting for that big reaction that you used to get, and they receive absolute 0 in response, you win instantly. Game over.
And that brings us to the ultimate masterstroke, trick number 7, calculated inaction. Instead of panicking over office rumors or exhausting yourself competing with obvious copycats, you simply let things play out. A lot of people falsely believe that asserting power means you have to be constantly fighting, constantly proving yourself, and making these big, loud moves. But sometimes, the most sophisticated, devastatingly powerful move you can possibly make is absolutely no move at all. You just watch.
This trick leans heavily on the classic Machiavellian idea of letting your enemies destroy each other while you just sit back and preserve your strength. While everyone else burns out on petty drama, defensive posturing, and endless, exhausting arguments, you are conserving your energy for real power. You ascend without effort. You keep living with integrity, you stay in your own lane, and you let those complex situations resolve themselves. You create this massive distance between yourself and your competitors, not by wrestling them in the dirt, but by refusing to descend to levels that just don't serve you anymore. So take back your power right now by committing to this ruthless art of calculated inaction. You've got the 7 tricks now. You understand the profound mechanics behind managing your attention, weaponizing your silence to create a psychological vacuum, and forging an impenetrable armor of indifference. The whole theory is laid out right here. The only thing left to do is make the choice to actually apply it. So I'll leave you with this. If absolute power truly lies in what you... Let's just